When it comes to boats in bankruptcy, the question is whether you can keep your boat through your bankruptcy case. And a lot of this comes down to an analysis of whether a boat is a reasonable item or whether it's an essential or non-essential item. Now, most bankruptcy courts see boats as non-essential items. They're not necessary for your income, health or welfare, view of your dependents, and that can put you in a little bit worse zone in trying to keep your boat. However, most people can keep their boats as long as they're reasonable. The first thing about keeping a boat in bankruptcy is how reasonable it is and what the value is. If your value fits under your exemptions and the boat is paid in full, they usually always let you keep your boat. And a lot of boats do actually fall into this category. Now, more expensive boats or boats with loans could have a little bit too high a value to go through bankruptcy, or it may just be a little bit hard to keep them. Because first of all, when you file Chapter 7, you can keep your boat usually if you can afford to make the payments later. You can keep making the payments and just keep that boat, but you really got to see whether you can afford it. The trustee may have some problems and get on your case to try to surrender it, but you can usually keep any boat just as long as it's somewhat reasonable and you can afford it. Chapter 13, the analysis is a little bit more strict. If you want to keep your boat in Chapter 13, especially if it's an expensive boat, it's very likely they're going to make you pay back either a larger percentage of your other creditors or pay back all of your creditors during your Chapter 13 case. So that can make your Chapter 13 payment much more expensive compared to whether you just surrendered your boat and maybe had a more reasonable or lower Chapter 13 payment. So that's the best way to analyze whether you can keep a boat. It is a non-essential item, so there may be a little bit of prejudice against it. Generally, if it's reasonable though, or fits under a certain value or loan value, you can keep it through your Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 bankruptcy.